Love is not a static treasure that fades away with time. It is a living, breathing choice we make every single day. The challenges of long-term relationships, the silent drifts, unmet needs, and changing seasons of life are invitations to grow deeper, to listen harder, and to care more intentionally. If your heart feels distant, know that it is never too late to bridge the gap. Small acts of kindness, honest conversations, and shared moments of presence can reignite the connection that first brought you together. Remember Susan and Mark, who found their way back from silence to shared dreams. Remember Helen, who chose meaning and gratitude over resignation. Their stories are not exceptions, they are possibilities. As you walk forward, carry this truth with you. Love thrives where understanding, respect, and effort meet. It is less about grand gestures and more about the quiet, daily affirmations. The look that says, "I see you." The word that says, "I value you." The touch that says, "You matter to me." Choose love. Choose understanding. Choose each other again and again. Your relationship is one of life's greatest treasures. Nurture it, protect it, and watch it bloom in ways you never imagined. Thank you for joining this journey. Until next time, take care of yourself and those you love. 1. The invisible weight, emotional labor in long-term relationships. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself, when was the last time you truly listened to your partner? Not just hearing their words, but really listening, with empathy, with presence, with understanding. For many women who have spent decades nurturing a marriage, this question often leads to a deep and unsettling realization. They have been carrying far more than their fair share of the emotional load. This phenomenon is known as emotional labor, the invisible, ongoing work of managing not only one's own emotions, but also those of the family. It includes remembering birthdays, planning celebrations, scheduling doctor appointments, soothing hurt feelings, and maintaining peace. Tasks that rarely appear on any to-do list but consume immense mental and emotional energy. From a clinical psychology perspective, emotional labor is a form of cognitive and emotional multitasking that creates chronic stress. Studies consistently show women disproportionately bear this burden. One study in the Journal of Marriage and Family revealed that even in modern dual-income households, women still perform nearly 2/3 of emotional and domestic labor. This imbalance can create feelings of exhaustion, invisibility, and resentment. Take Linda's story. After 30 years of marriage, she described feeling like the engine of the family, always driving the emotional well-being of her husband and children, but with little recognition or reciprocal effort. Over time, the weight became crushing. The fatigue she experienced was not just physical but psychological, wearing down her capacity for affection and connection. Medically, chronic emotional stress triggers the body's stress response, elevating cortisol levels that, over years, can lead to anxiety, depression, and even physical health issues like hypertension or heart disease. The connection between emotional labor and health is profound. Emotional neglect isn't just a relationship issue, it is a public health concern. What makes this burden particularly painful is that many husbands remain unaware. Social conditioning often teaches men to express emotions differently or to view household management as women's work. This disconnect fosters an invisible divide. So here is the question for every couple watching this. Are you sharing the emotional load? When was the last time you checked in with your partner about what they carry inside? And for husbands, when was the last time you actively offered to help with the invisible tasks, not because you were asked, but because you noticed? The good news is that awareness is the first step to change. Recognizing the emotional labor your partner does daily can open the door to empathy, shared responsibility, and ultimately healing. 2. The silent drift, decline of meaningful communication. Have you noticed how the conversations in the early days of your relationship were filled with curiosity and wonder? How was your day? What are you dreaming about? Tell me everything. These questions open doors to emotional intimacy, a vital glue bonding hearts. But as years pass, many couples experience a gradual shift. Conversations become predictable, transactional, or worse, non-existent. A husband might come home tired, retreat into silence, while his wife yearns for connection but hears only echoes of emptiness. This silent drift is not mere neglect. Psychologists call it emotional invisibility, when one partner feels unseen, unheard, and emotionally dismissed. For women, who often express love through dialogue and sharing feelings, this absence can be profoundly painful. Research from the American Psychological Association shows that emotional intimacy, sustained by meaningful conversation, is strongly linked to marital satisfaction and longevity. When communication declines, so does the emotional bond. Consider Susan and Mark, married 35 years. Susan confided, "At first, we talked about everything: dreams, fears, plans. Now, our chats are mostly about the weather or what's for dinner. I feel like I'm talking to a stranger." This loss of shared emotional space created a quiet loneliness between them. From a neurological perspective, sharing emotions activates oxytocin release, the bonding hormone that fosters trust and attachment. When communication wanes, so does oxytocin, weakening the couple's connection. How often do you check in beyond daily logistics? When was the last time you asked your partner what's truly on their mind or how they're feeling? And when they answer, are you really present, listening without judgment or distraction? Reviving meaningful communication requires intention. It means setting aside time to ask open-ended questions, sharing vulnerabilities, and responding with empathy. It's about creating a safe emotional space where both partners feel valued. 3. The never-ending chores, unequal household responsibilities. In many long-lasting relationships, especially marriages spanning decades, one of the quietest yet most persistent sources of tension lies in the uneven sharing of household chores. Despite societal progress toward gender equality, countless studies reveal a heartbreaking reality. Women still carry the vast majority of domestic duties, from scrubbing floors and preparing meals to endless loads of laundry and the relentless task of organizing the family's daily life. Have you ever felt like you're carrying this invisible weight alone? How often do you pause to consider the emotional toll it takes? This imbalance is more than just tiring. It's a heavy, invisible burden that many women carry every single day. It transforms what should be a partnership of shared responsibility into a draining load that steals energy, patience, and joy. The exhaustion isn't only physical. It digs deep into the heart, breeding frustration and quiet resentment that can slowly erode the warmth of a marriage. Maria, a 62-year-old woman married for decades, shared a glimpse into this exhausting reality. "Even though my husband has retired, I'm still the one doing most of the housework. It feels like the chores never end. Some days, I wake up wondering why the weight of it all still falls on my shoulders, after all these years." Can you relate to Maria's feelings? Have you ever questioned why, after so many years, the burden still feels so heavy? Psychologically, carrying such an unequal load chips away at a woman's sense of value and belonging in her relationship. It drains the emotional well from which love and connection flow, making it harder for her to feel truly seen, appreciated, and close to her partner. From a health perspective, the chronic stress that comes from feeling overwhelmed and invisible is not just a mental burden. It's linked to serious issues like anxiety, depression, and an increased risk of heart disease among women. Do you believe your partner truly understands the weight you carry? Have you ever tried to share these feelings, hoping to be heard? What makes this struggle even more painful is how often it goes unspoken. Deep-rooted cultural norms and social conditioning silence many women's voices, while men may remain unaware of the emotional weight their partners bear daily. Breaking this cycle requires courageous honesty and intentional effort. Couples who openly negotiate the division of household tasks and who genuinely recognize and appreciate each other's contributions build a foundation of fairness and support. This not only eases the burden, but strengthens the emotional bond, transforming a weary routine into a shared journey of partnership and love. 4. Growing apart, when one evolves and the other stays still. As we journey through life, personal growth is a natural and essential part of our well-being. For many women, aging brings a renewed desire to explore new interests, expand horizons, and deepen self-awareness. They may want to travel, take classes, volunteer, or engage in creative pursuits. This evolution is not just about hobbies. It's about finding meaning and fulfillment beyond the traditional roles they have long played. However, when a partner resists change or remains stagnant, it creates an emotional gap that can feel like an invisible wall between two people. While one is reaching forward, the other is anchored in familiar routines, and this disconnect can foster feelings of loneliness and frustration. Susan's story illustrates this clearly. After years of feeling confined by her marriage, she decided to pursue painting classes and join a book club. "I wanted to grow, to discover parts of myself I hadn't known," she said. Yet her husband showed little interest in her new passions and preferred to maintain the status quo. Over time, Susan felt increasingly isolated within the marriage. Psychologically, this mismatch in growth can lead to divergent life paths and emotional distancing. The partner who evolves may feel trapped, while the other feels threatened by change. Without mutual support, this imbalance widens. Experts emphasize the importance of nurturing individual growth within relationships. Encouraging each other's development not only enriches personal lives, but also revitalizes the couple's connection, creating new shared experiences and conversations. Reflect for a moment. Are both partners growing together, or is one left behind? How might you support your loved one's journey of self-discovery? Embracing change as a team transforms potential division into an opportunity for deeper connection and renewed love. 5. The fading spark, loss of physical and emotional intimacy. Intimacy is much more than physical closeness. It's a deep emotional connection that makes two people feel seen, desired, and loved. For many couples, the early years of marriage are marked by passion and closeness, but as time passes, this spark can dim. Women, in particular, often interpret intimacy as an interplay of emotional and physical connection. When the feeling of being desired fades or when emotional responsiveness declines, it can feel like love itself is slipping away. Catherine, married for over 30 years, shared her struggle. It wasn't just about sex. It was about feeling wanted, feeling like my husband saw me, valued me. When that faded, I began to pull away emotionally. From a medical perspective, aging brings hormonal changes that can affect libido and physical comfort. Menopause, reduced estrogen levels, and other health issues may make physical intimacy more challenging. At the same time, psychological factors like stress, fatigue, and emotional disconnect compound the difficulty. Oxytocin, the bonding hormone, plays a critical role here too. Physical touch, eye contact, and affectionate gestures stimulate its release, reinforcing trust and attachment. When these diminish, couples can feel a growing emotional distance. Restoring intimacy requires patience, open communication, and willingness to adapt. Couples may need to explore new ways of connecting, redefine physical affection, and express love beyond the bedroom. Have you noticed moments when closeness felt effortless, and times when it felt like it was slipping away? Recognizing these shifts is the first step toward rekindling the flame. 6. Retirement reality, the unexpected strain. Retirement is often imagined as a golden chapter, a time to relax, travel, and enjoy the fruits of a lifetime of work. But for many couples, it introduces unexpected challenges that can strain even the strongest relationships. Suddenly, two lives that once revolved around separate daily routines now converge almost constantly. For some husbands, retirement means losing the structure and purpose that work provided. Without a clear plan, they may feel aimless, seeking companionship and entertainment from their wives. Margaret, married for over 40 years, described her experience. "My husband stopped working, and I became his entertainment committee. I was exhausted. After managing everything for decades, I suddenly felt trapped, like I lost my freedom." This shift can overwhelm a woman who has spent years juggling responsibilities. The sudden closeness, without boundaries or personal space, may feel suffocating. Resentment quietly builds as the balance of independence and togetherness tips too far. From a psychological perspective, retirement can be a major identity shift. Men may struggle to redefine themselves outside their careers, and without outlets for personal growth or social engagement, tensions rise. Couples who plan for retirement together, maintaining individual interests and respecting personal space, tend to navigate this phase more smoothly. Open communication about expectations and boundaries is crucial. Reflect on your own experience or that of those you know. How did retirement affect your relationship? Were you prepared for the changes it brought? Retirement need not be a source of conflict. With intention and mutual respect, it can become a rich period of shared joy and new discoveries. 7. The pain of being unheard, emotional withdrawal and resentment. One of the most painful experiences in a long-term relationship isn't conflict or disagreement, but the slow, quiet erosion that comes from feeling unheard and unseen. Emotional neglect, unlike dramatic arguments, chips away at the heart over time, creating a barrier that's hard to cross. Many women, after years of carrying the emotional weight of the family, reach a point where they feel their voice no longer matters. They express concerns, share feelings, and try to engage in meaningful conversations, only to be met with indifference, distraction, or silence. This dismissal is devastating. Janet, who has been married for over 30 years, recalled how she stopped sharing her worries because her husband never seemed to listen. "I kept trying to tell him how I felt, but it was like talking into a void. Eventually, I just gave up. It hurt more than any fight." Psychologically, feeling unheard triggers a profound sense of isolation and rejection. The brain's social pain pathways respond similarly to physical pain, making emotional neglect not just hurtful, but deeply damaging. Over time, when concerns are repeatedly dismissed, a woman's attempts at connection fade. She begins to withdraw emotionally to protect herself from further hurt. This withdrawal often goes unnoticed by the partner, creating a painful cycle of misunderstanding and distance. Research confirms that active listening, truly hearing and validating a partner's feelings, is critical for emotional intimacy and relationship satisfaction. Simple acts of attention and empathy can prevent the slow poisoning of love. It's important to recognize that you don't need grand gestures to feel heard. Sometimes, the most powerful medicine is quiet presence, genuine eye contact, and sincere acknowledgement. Take a moment to reflect. When was the last time you really listened, not just heard your partner's heart? How often do you show them they matter through your attention and empathy? If you or your partner feels unheard, it's never too late to change. Starting with small, consistent acts of listening and validation can reopen pathways to connection and healing. 8. Facing mortality, the desire for more meaningful connection. As we age, our perspective on life shifts dramatically. The loss of friends, the reality of mortality, and the limited time ahead become impossible to ignore. For many women, this awareness ignites a deep reevaluation of what truly matters, especially within their most intimate relationships. No longer satisfied with routine or superficial interactions, they seek connection that nourishes the soul. They ask themselves, "Am I happy? Do I feel loved? Is this how I want to spend the rest of my years?" These questions are not born from anger but from a profound desire for authenticity and fulfillment. Many women reach a stage where they no longer want to fight, nag, or beg for attention. Instead, they prioritize their own well-being and peace. If their partner does not meet them halfway, they quietly detach, sometimes emotionally, sometimes physically. This shift can be heartbreaking for couples. Yet, it's also an opportunity, a call to deepen presence, understanding, and respect. As love matures, it becomes less about grand romantic gestures and more about consistent, genuine care. Helen, reflecting on her own journey, said, "I lost many friends to illness and age. It made me realize how precious time is. I want my remaining years filled with meaning and connection, not emptiness." Experts suggest that couples embracing this stage with openness and empathy often find renewed closeness. Sharing fears about aging and death, expressing gratitude, and creating meaningful rituals can strengthen bonds. Consider this. How do you want to be remembered in your relationship? What legacy of love and connection will you leave behind? Choosing to nurture your relationship in the face of life's impermanence is one of the greatest acts of love there is. Love is not a static treasure that fades away with time. It is a living, breathing choice we make every single day. The challenges of long-term relationships, the silent drifts, unmet needs, and changing seasons of life are invitations to grow deeper, to listen harder, and to care more intentionally. If your heart feels distant, know that it is never too late to bridge the gap. Small acts of kindness, honest conversations, and shared moments of presence can reignite the connection that first brought you together. Remember Susan and Mark, who found their way back from silence to shared dreams. Remember Helen, who chose meaning and gratitude over resignation. Their stories are not exceptions, they are possibilities. As you walk forward, carry this truth with you. Love thrives where understanding, respect, and effort meet. It is less about grand gestures and more about the quiet, daily affirmations. The look that says, "I see you." The word that says, "I value you." The touch that says, "You matter to me." Choose love. Choose understanding. Choose each other again and again. Your relationship is one of life's greatest treasures. Nurture it, protect it, and watch it bloom in ways you never imagined. Thank you for joining this journey. If you found this message meaningful, please subscribe to our channel for more insights and stories about love, relationships, and life's deeper connections. Until next time, take care of yourself and those you love.